Hi. So before I put out my second endometriosis series video, I thought I'd post a video of just an explanation of the different diseases that I have. I have 3 chronic illnesses in the same area of my body, in my pelvis, and I think it'll make more sense to anyone who's uneducated in the medical field. I know a little bit because I have so many things going on, but it'll make a little more sense to follow along the story if you know what I'm talking about. I'll start with the first easy one is chronic pelvic pain, which is almost fibromyalgia of my pelvis. It's fibromyalgia is when your nerves think you're in pain all the time, so they send those signals to your brain. Basically, that's what's happening in my pelvis. All of my muscles are really tight and like they're flexing all the time. That is a cause or what am I thinking of? An effect of pain, but also causes pain. So it's kind of a chicken and an egg scenario. Chronic pelvic pain is specifically targeting the muscles that are around my bladder, my uterus, everything down there in my pelvis. And they all are clenching hard. And if you're pushing on a bladder or a uterus, and then you have inflammation in your bladder or uterus, and that's pushing out because it's like inflamed, right? Everything's pushing on each other and making it worse. So, chronic pelvic pain, constantly have pain in my pelvis all the time. Also, I have, what I knew first was that I have interstitial cystitis, got tongue-tied, interstitial cystitis, which is it's not classified as an autoimmune disease yet. They think that it is, which is in your bladder. But I usually tell people it is, just it's easier to explain and people hear the word autoimmune disease and they know. It's harder to say, well, they're still working out the kinks, and someone be like, oh, well, that's maybe not what's going on, and blah, 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 blah. So everyone wants to be a doctor, have you noticed? Interstitial cystitis is when your bladder lining that protects your bladder from your acidic urine, it basically has ulcers in it. So there's little holes in my bladder lining. So when my urine, that's very acidic, touches those missing spots, it hurts. It's burning. It hurts when if you've ever had a urinary tract infection, that's exactly what it feels like times 1,000 all the time. I have flare-ups, which makes me feel like I'm having a UTI on top of that baseline pain. But there's no bacteria in my urine to classify an infection. So it's not an infection, it's a flare-up, which could be caused from things I eat or that I shouldn't, or stress levels, which mine are insanely high right now. And then when I get a UTI, it's even worse, and I'm allergic to a lot of antibiotics, specifically ones that they initially prescribed you specifically for a UTI. Found that out real quick. I was in the ER Saturday and they said I had a UTI, and I say that because I don't know if they check for bacteria every time. The surgeon that I saw today made it seem like they don't. So I'm assuming that I do have a UTI instead of just an IC flare-up, and I'm on antibiotics that I don't know if they're working. So that sucks. But it could just be a flare-up, and because I have a UTI, maybe I'm having a flare-up. I don't know. It's very hard to pinpoint exactly where the pain's coming from, especially when you have 3 illnesses in the same part of your body like I do. When I was 15, I had about 15 to 20 UTIs already. Most people get maybe one their whole lifetime. Most of the time it's women. I don't know about men. I don't know the statistics on that. Most women will get one in their lifetime. Probably just one though. I had had 15 to 20 by the time I was 15. So saw my primary doctor every time. He referred me to a urologist. I had to fight to get in the urologist's office because they didn't accept people that were younger than like 30. Mind you, I was 15, that's much younger, and eventually they allowed me to come in. Every time I was in there, it was like me and like 2 80-year-old men. That was it. I was there pretty often because I never felt better. They tried me on a whole bunch of different medications. When I was 17, they finally gave me this list of foods called the IC diet, and it's basically very low acidic pH balanced foods. So I can't have, I think I mentioned in my last video, I can't have fruit besides like blueberries and pears, and red apples for some reason don't bother me. But when I was 17, there was a lot of things on that list that I actually can eat that don't bother me, but I didn't know that then. I had to basically take a year off of life and say, okay, I'm gonna try this food that I don't know if I can eat or not, and it's either gonna be fine or I'm gonna be in a serious, like, crippling amount of pain. So I did that for a year. Around the time I was 18, took that year off because it was like, I can't have anything with preservatives in it, artificial colors, artificial flavors. Couldn't have chocolate, couldn't have pop, couldn't have any of the fruits that I mentioned. Canned meat is a no-no, like tuna or whatever. So I really had to sit down and be like, okay, what can I live without? I haven't had pop in years. I haven't had pop. I'll have a sip every now and then of like Eric's, but I can't have a full can of pop or I will be in the hospital. So I found out that I could eat red apples. Green apples are a no-no. Oranges, I can't have any like citrus food. If I get water at a restaurant, I have to make sure that there's no lemon in it, Restaurants scared me for a long time because I don't know what's in that food. I don't know what preservatives they use. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know anything. So fast food is completely out of the question. Learned that real quick. Subway sent me to the ER like that. Every now and then I can eat an Arby's roast beef sandwich, a beef and cheddar. Don't know why. I heard it comes in a bag, but it doesn't bother me. And that's pretty common with IC. There is no hard, fast rule. This works, this doesn't work. If you have this, you can't do this. Everyone's different. Some people can't use a fruity soap without having a flare-up. Some people can eat an orange, no problem, and the diet doesn't affect them. It's very strange. I learned today that IC is a diagnosis of exclusion, so you just do all these things until you've done them all, and now you probably have IC. So 17, I did the diet. 18, I was figuring it out. By 19, I had a cystoscopy because I was okay with the diet, but I wasn't better. So, and I had a urethral dilation. So cystoscopy is when they put a camera up your urethra into your bladder to look around, see what's going on, see any inflammation. Urethral dilation is just like when they dilate your eyes, they make your urethra larger so that bacteria can't get caught up in your urethra as easily. So I had that, and then a year later I had another one. Eventually my urologist that I was seeing told me that there was nothing else he could do for me except be on this medication called Elmeron, which from what I've heard is basically like going through chemo. It's nausea and vomiting all the time. You lose your hair. It's just a mess. I had an aunt who took it. She called it toxic, and it was a cancer itself. I've read horror stories, and it's basically a poison, and I didn't want to do that. He had even told me that it was 33% success rate, and you don't know for 6 months if it's working or not. So that's a very low percentage. I don't know if it's changed. I don't know if they've fixed it since then, but this was almost 10 years ago. Didn't want to do that. Didn't sound worth it to me. I wasn't in debilitating pain most of the time. Sometimes I was. especially like going through the diet, but I didn't think that the side effects were worth going through that. So this last year I saw a new urologist. I waited that long to see another one, just kind of dealt with it. And she told me that there are steps that you take before you get to Elmeron, the medicine. And one of them was pelvic floor physical therapy. Had never heard of it. He had never brought it up to me. I started it and it did help for the most part, for a long time. I wasn't out of pain, but it was manageable, and I knew that things would help me calm down my bladder and release those muscles. Fast forward to this past January, I had been in physical therapy for a few months, and I suddenly was in crippling, debilitating, worst pain I've ever been in. And it didn't go away. And it started with a period that I had. So I saw an OBGYN, and she told me I didn't have endometriosis. Even though I had done the research, I know that it comes with IC often. They call them the evil stepsisters. And I had every symptom, and she told me I didn't have it. So then I fast forward to seeing this doctor that I saw, my new OBGYN, the one I'm seeing now. And he said, yeah, I think that's what it is. And then the last video I made, you get that information. So endometriosis is when I might have already said this in the last video, but it's when your uterus, when your uterus lining tissue starts growing outside of your uterus into your abdomen and onto other organs. Most commonly your ovaries, and then your colon and rectum and all that. But when he opened me up, I had a little bit everywhere. Not like big chunks, but just little bits all over. And so they also don't know what causes that. It's either an autoimmune disease, or they think that, I think he called it retrograde menstruation. When you menstruate and you have a period and you're bleeding, some of it comes out, some of it goes up into your fallopian tubes and comes out onto your ovaries. That's what they think might cause it. So it's like 1 in 10 women have endometriosis. So it's pretty common, and that's really sad. And women's health, unfortunately, isn't a big concern to a lot of people, people who make the rules. And I think we all know that now. And that's why there isn't funding and research being done. So I unfortunately have all of those things. And as I was saying, they play off of each other. So let's say I have an IC flare-up. Well, now my uterus is probably going to hurt, and I'm going to have that intense searing pain. And it's just like a whole mess of everything going on and everything aggravating each other. So I saw the surgeon today. I made that video, and that'll go up after this one, just what my next month or so looks like and what they told me, and a surprise that I wasn't prepared for. And I wanted everyone to know exactly what these diseases were and what they do and what they cause pain-wise for me. I mentioned my endometriosis type pain in my last video, so if you're interested in the little bit that I didn't talk about in this video, watch that one. But basically, I'm just constantly in pain, and then it gets worse when other things happen, like I have an IC flare-up, or I have a UTI, or I'm on my period, and that lasts as long as it wants to and is as heavy as it wants to be. It's just the baseline pain is enough to keep me homebound, and then it gets worse. So I just wanted to make this video to help you understand just a little bit better about what's going on and what this actually means when I talk about different things. So I don't want to say I hope you liked this, because I don't know why anybody would enjoy me being in pain. That kind of sucks, but at least like this video as an informational video and try to get it out to as many people as possible, because I know just in the short time that I've known that I've had endometriosis, 2 different people I've talked to that were trying so hard to get their doctor to listen to them, and they sounded like they had the same pain, found out that they had endometriosis. And I don't want to say it's because of me, but I think I gave them a little bit of some tools to work with to push the doctor enough to figure it out. And that makes me really happy to be able to help someone. That's been the only thing that's helped me, is to talk to people who get it. It really does. My support system at home is great. I have people who care about me and understand, but they don't know. I can't tell them. You can't imagine pain until you've felt it like this. So it's been nice to talk to other people. So if you like this video and you get this out here and you share it and whatever, maybe it'll help someone else. And endometriosis is a really hard thing to get diagnosed. Unfortunately, a lot of doctors say, oh, that's just period pain, suck it up. Luckily, not everyone is in pain constantly, but if you're having a seriously painful period, that's not normal. It's not. If you bleed so much that you feel weak, it's not normal. So I just want people to know. And also IC is something that's very, very hard to diagnose. And I had to keep pushing and say, no, it's not working for me. No, I don't feel better. What else can we do? And it took me going to a few different doctors. So anyway, just like and comment and share. Give me positivity, give me hope, give me the name of someone that I could talk to that you think might be going through the same thing, anything. I think this is important. That's why I started doing this. So, yeah, do all those things, and stay tuned for the next endometriosis video. If you want to know what's going on with my health and then my next steps, or what your next steps should be if you are going through the same thing, stay tuned, subscribe, and watch out for that video. So I'll talk to you then. See ya. Bye.